Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at one of the Python's libraries for graphing. This it is called Pygal. Um, so this is a quick introduction on it. So hopefully you can get started with this on this graphing routine. So here's some of the links, starting with the documentation, how do you install it, like installation links, some rendering links, and then like a couple of other links on how do you output those graphs, and then CSV library in Python. So I'll quickly open this documentation, and as you can see, Pygal library allows you to draw many of the chart types like line chart, bar chart, and so on and so forth. And I found it very useful in my visualization for some of the data I was generating. Uh, so so looking at this, and then let's look at the first thing you want to do is install it. Obviously, on Python it's very easy. Right, just do pip install Pygal and it installs it. And then if you want to render it in um, PNG, and then you need some additional dependencies. So you install those as well. By default, you can render your files in SVG, which works pretty well. For me, installing this Cairo SVG didn't work. I was getting an error, so I won't render it in PNG, obviously, with this then. But once it installs, you're ready to go. So I'll show you a couple of examples. Let's look at one of those. The first one is very simple. So you have a Python, basically file importing your Pygal library. You are trying to do a bar chart. This is an example, I think, from the documentation. So I just copied it. So bar chart added. This is the label given to the series of this data. And then it renders that bar chart. So let's see how it renders. So so you basically run it, and hopefully it will create a file. This is the latest file, barchart.svg. And if I try to open it, believe here's the folder. There you go. So it renders the bar chart properly, and you can see this is the Fibonacci series 3, 5, and then 50. The whole series is there. The Fibonacci chart is showing up. I'll put it on side by side with the code, so as to see what's going on. So this is the Fibonacci series. This guy matches that guy, and then it renders SVG. Let's look at uh, data set, which is big. So this is what I needed to graph actually when I started on this. So this data I generated from SAS output for capturing the network interfaces throughput. And as you can see, the data set is like date, time, the received megabyte per second, the transmitted megabyte per second, the total megabyte per second. So this is what I needed to draw. And I was looking for some simple routines or utility to do this thing. So which got me to this Pygal library. Um, Later on, I also rendered the same in Matplotlib, and I'll go through that in my next video. But for now, let's just look at this Pygal. So let's see that's fine. Let's just open it. So the file is over here. It imports CSV module to parse that file which you just saw. Imports the datetime module. Import the Pygal library, and this is the file we are trying to open. We open it through that CSV library. Read it using delimiter of a space. Get it in an object called CR. We get the header part of it out. We get the dates, RX, TX total in a list. And then we do go through row by row in that text file and basically populate this list in Python, right? So it's just appending rx.append, tx.append, things like that. For date time, it's appending those two first and second columns, and then making a date time object out of it. Here's the routine which actually renders the graph. Before I look at this, actually let's run this file. So Python basically graph pygal.py, and here's the output for that. And then let's look at the file it renders. This is the file it renders as to linechart.svg. Let's open that one quickly. To linechart.svg, there it is. And this is how the graph renders, and which is what I needed actually. So let's see. So pygal.line, it creates side by side is easier. There you go. Pygal.line, legend at bottom equals to true. This is called legend 1, 2, and 3. This information is called legend. The title is this guy. So title of this chart. X title, Y title, time, megabyte per second. So X title is time, Y title is MB per second, width is 1000. So this graph is at 1000 pixels. If you don't take this out, it will render by default very small graph, which didn't look that nice. It shows the Y guides and X guides. By default, these don't come up. Only I think Y guides came up. So Y guides are the horizontal lines, and I believe the X guides are the vertical lines. X labels measure every equals to 10. And this is for actually rendering the labels. These labels 1, 2, 3. The date time labels over here. If you don't do this, what happens is it will render so many date time values, as we've got many, and it will render this thing useless. Like you won't be able to figure out what date time it is just by looking at the graph below. So what this does is every 10 rows of this date time, it will graph it. So the next one show minor X labels goes to false, so it doesn't show any of the date time in between those two guys. This is what it does. And the labels themselves are rendered in this format. So this is what it does. And it gets rotated by 90 degrees, so it's easy to, otherwise they will overlap each other if you don't overlap it, if you don't rotate it. And then we just get this series inside the this line chart of Pygal. So line chart.add, and then header 2 is the label, and then Rx is the received bytes, transmitted byte, total bytes are being graphed here, and then we render it to a file .svg. We open that file in our browser, and the chart renders. As you can see, when hovering over it gives you the dots and the values. You can basically remove some of the graphs. This is very useful if you have many lines rendered. So I like the output of the Pygal library's charting. So very useful. Hopefully it's useful for you too. I found it very difficult to get started on this. So hopefully this video should help you get going in some simple line charts and things like that, and you can advance from here. Thank you.